Welcome to New Education with Isha and Danny.
Hello, Amelia, and hello, our Nuut-ed listeners. Dr. Amelia, welcome back to the Nuut-ed podcast this week. How are you going?
I'm really well. Thanks for having me, Danny.
No, thanks for coming in. So I'm just getting comfy because we're going to have 2 episodes this time, back to back, and we're going to be diving into plant-based foods, something that you're very passionate about.
It is. I can't wait.
Yeah, and you have a lot of knowledge, so we're just going to jump straight in. We're going to discuss today the misconceptions around eating a plant-based diet because it's becoming more common, but then I think there's a few things that are holding other people back from jumping in and then maybe wanting to give it a go. So you're going to help people guide them on this journey. So what are some common misconceptions? Let's start there on a plant-based diet, and especially the idea that they require becoming completely vegan or vegetarian.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest misconception is that people think that a plant-based diet means becoming a vegan or following a strict vegan diet or a vegetarian. So this terminology around a plant-based diet is quite new in terms of mainstream media over the past few years. And people can really disconnect from it because they think, well, no, I don't want to just eat plants, or that's not me, I'm not going to do that. When actually a plant-based diet is one that really emphasises and prioritises eating plants. So this does not mean cutting out meat completely. Many people are more familiar with the term flexitarian, which is someone that eats meat but is trying to eat less and eats more plants. But really it's about putting the emphasis and the focus on plants, which we know from the literature it is really not controversial at all. Everyone should be eating mostly plants for their health.
So it's prioritising plants on your plate and plant-based foods, right? So how can people do that, and how can they try and incorporate more plant-based foods?
So the best tip that I can give is to focus every meal or plan every meal around the plant-based component. So many people grew up with this mentality of like, right, what meat are we having? And then we'll have different veggies with that. And I want to really flip this narrative. So people go, right, what plant-based foods, like what foods are in season, for example, what fruits and veggies, or what whole grains and cereals do I enjoy, or beans or legumes? And then if they'd like, almost have meat as a little condiment with that, or a side component, rather than the hero of every single dish.
And because there's a lot of plant-based options for protein, that's something that someone might come at you with, right? Going, well, where are you going to get your protein from if you're just focusing on the plants first? But there's a lot of options out there.
There are so many options, and protein is one of the macronutrients that everyone eats more than enough of. So including people following a meat-heavy diet, a vegetarian diet, a vegan diet, they all eat enough protein. Because protein doesn't just come from animal foods. We know that protein comes in whole grains and cereals, beans, legumes, nuts, tofu, all sorts of different parts. So protein is not a problem, although it's drilled into us that we should always be eating more. It's very easy for people to meet their protein requirements, even if they're trying to build huge amounts of muscle by eating plant-based foods.
Now, we're obviously in Australia, and I think we've all had a bunning sausage, a hot dog, or a barbecue in summer we all love. What do you think some are then, the challenges that people have this idea that, but my culture doesn't let me have plant-based foods? How can you give some tips to people there?
Yeah, I think the biggest tip is you don't need to avoid meat to be following a predominantly plant-based diet. So people don't need to feel deprived. Things like, having ham at Christmas and enjoying those sorts of foods that are part of someone's food culture or family culture is really important. So the first tip would be don't deprive yourself. However, there are other things that we can do. So if we're having barbecues often in summer, really starting to experiment with some delicious salad recipes or other vegetarian or plant-based foods that can go on the barbecue.
I love zucchini and doing eggplant on the barbecue.
Yeah, big field mushrooms, like satay tofu is delicious. There are other plant-based alternatives like plant-based sausages and burger patties, otherwise making your own. There are some excellent
chickpea patties and stuff.
Yep, that's right. So it's about people not disconnecting from their culture, but also not feeling like, well, meat defines me as who I am. Because often when you say to people, and I get clients saying this often, especially male clients when they want to eat more plant-based, and they say, well, when I tell my group of mates, they make fun of me because I say that I'm not eating meat at the moment, or I'm trying to eat less meat, therefore I'm going to go for the vegetarian option. that says more. The reaction of their mates says more about those mates and their own insecurities.
They're projecting.
They're projecting. And part of that is when you start to challenge people's ideas around food, you're challenging their identity, you're challenging what their parents fed them and what their grandparents fed them. So it's much deeper than people are aware of. What we should really do is just acknowledge the fact that everyone can choose what they put in their body at any time. And if you are choosing to do something that's different to me, that is not offending me, that is your choice.
And it's the reasons for that choice, I guess. So we always hear that plant-based diets are really beneficial for your health. Can you run through some reasons why people should, maybe make that choice to kind of put their health first and follow a plant-based diet?
Yeah, I absolutely can. Where do we start? The first thing is that I encourage everyone to try and eat at least, if they eat meat every day, to try and eat at least 1 to 2 meat-free meals or purely plant-based dinners each week. The reason why is we know that this can reduce your risk of heart disease, which is the biggest killer in Australia. It can reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes and also a number of other conditions. So eating more plants benefits your health. Another reason why people should do this is that it's teaching those around them, so especially parents, it's teaching their kids how to eat in a different way that is more supportive of the environment. Because, Danny, within the next 5 or 10 years, we are not going to have the option to eat the levels of meat that we are in Australia at the moment. It is unsustainable for our planet. So if people start making really small changes now, they can improve their health and they can, especially their gut health, and they can reduce their environmental impact.
And when you have a healthy gut, you feel better, you'll feel lighter, you're in a better mood. It affects your whole life, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And we know that plant-based alternatives like, nuts and beans and legumes, especially the whole food alternatives, have less saturated fat. They are much better for our gut health. Not improving microbiome diversity, but also not associated with the negative health impacts of eating red meat, because we know that especially red processed meats are associated with increased bowel cancer risk.
We know that another kind of hurdle for people sometimes is that, they might live in a house where one family member wants to become, a flexitarian, plant-based diet, other one doesn't, and it's a barrier for people. I know you personally live in a blended food family where everyone has different dietary preferences. Can you explain to us how you manage this and give some tips for other people who, might want to themselves eat plant-based but then their husband doesn't, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got 4 kids at home. I've got 2 kids that eat meat and 2 don't. My husband eats meat and I don't. So every meal we try to eat together, and we're really trying to make sure that everyone enjoys their food.
And it's not more work for you. It doesn't cost more for you. You're really considering everything. Exactly.
As a busy working mum, it really needs to be as simple as possible. So what we do is we mostly eat vegetarian meals, and this is because we cook delicious food and everyone really enjoys it. We don't label them as vegetarian meals. But of course, I always offer meat to my meat-eating kids. So if I'm making something like a stir fry, I will let them choose what they put on that stir fry. So who would like, we've got the option of eggs, tofu or chicken. What would you like?
So pick your so you make, the nice veggie base, the noodles, which everybody can eat. And then you kind of be like, here are your protein options to everybody equally.
Yeah.
Everyone, which one are you picking?
Exactly. It's amazing how often my meat-eating kids go, I'll have fried egg, please, because there's no pressure on them to choose one or the other.
Yeah, they're not labelled as the meat-eating child.
Exactly. And other meals like pizzas are a great one, so people just come and make their own, or I'll make some with meat and some without. Say, for example, if we are doing a big grainy salad and all those sorts of things, then I'll do a variety of different toppings for people to choose from.
So it's easy.
It is so easy. It really is. My advice would be that if someone in your house wants to try and cut down on meat, whether that's you or someone else, just embrace it. This is really common with kids as well. When they get to that age where they start to become more aware about where meat comes from, they'll often come home and say, Mum, Dad, I want to become a vegetarian. Don't worry about their nutritional status. This is absolutely normal, especially when they're becoming more compassionate and empathetic. It's quite a normal process. it doesn't mean everyone has to become vegetarian. Just give them the options of other plant-based proteins with meals.
And I like the idea of just not all of a sudden labeling a child as, okay, well, now you're a vegetarian. There's a lot of stigma out there being like, not giving kids the choice, and that it's not doing that. It's literally maybe only making half the food vegetarian, half the food not, and people can choose. And already you're cutting down the intake that your house is having.
Yeah, and what often happens is that when one person in the house wants to eat more plant-based foods or become vegetarian, it means that everyone starts to eat more plant-based foods.
Because it tastes great.
It tastes great, but this benefits everyone's health. It benefits weight control, gut health, and a whole bunch. The list is
skin,
endless.
your mood, your everything is affected, like you said.
Well, there was a great study released 2 weeks ago in a really high impact factor journal about sustainable eating. So eating mostly plants, having at least half of every plate with fruits and vegetables, grains and cereals, and just a small amount of dairy and meat. And they looked at the relationship with anxiety and depression over an 11-year period, and they had about 180,000 people in this study. And what they found is that a sustainable diet, according to this Eat Lancet planetary diet, is linked to lower rates of depression, anxiety, and both combined.
So, there's a lot of evidence there, and it's. I think I love the way that you've presented it today to everyone, that it's not so black and white, and it's not so much pressure on people. It's just opening it up, making it a lot softer and inclusive, and really looking at all aspects of your health and the environment that this role can play of eating plant-based.
Yeah, and it's like when people choose to try and cut down on their alcohol intake or do more physical activity, let's embrace it like that and be like, great, you're trying to eat less meat.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean you've labelled yourself for the next 5-10 years.
Well, that was great. Thank you so much. Everyone, you're going to stay here because we're going to jump into part 2 of this, which is going to be talking about the specific nutrient needs. That's I guess, another little misconception that people think they can't live full, healthy lives on a plant-based diet. So that will be episode 2 if everyone sticks around. But thank you so much for joining us.